Welcome to Her Life Unscripted podcast, inspiring burnt out, stressed out, and stretched thin women to embrace the unscriptedness of life. Hosted by Anna Osborne.
Hello, ladies, and welcome to Her Life Unscripted, episode 43. It's an amazing day to be here with all of you guys. Last week's episode, this, kind of recognizing and being aware and stepping into being the heroine of our own story was a really, really hard podcast for me to record because it felt very honest. And not that all the ones I record don't feel honest, but it felt honest in a much more vulnerable way. And I'm just so appreciative for those of you that have reached out. There's been words of encouragement. There has been words of, you know what, I need you to stay in your lane. That's not what your show's about, which that is awesome that people are comfortable sharing that. And then there's also just been a lot of words of just support and knowing that you guys are out listening and having opinions and thoughts and feelings, reactions to what I share is awesome. And even if we land on different sides about what our current time is calling us to do, the fact that you guys feel comfortable sharing that with me is a huge, huge honor. So I want to thank all of you for that. So that is the first place that I want to just kind of start the show off with. The second is there is more information that has come out about the Shine Retreat that Mari Lee and I are hosting together at the end of September of this year, 2017. So I really encourage you guys to head over to the website, herlifeunscripted.com. There is a page there with more information, and you can also go to shineretreatforwomen.com and also check out the information there. So I really encourage you guys to do it. We are officially taking signups at the airing of the show. So I'm excited. We've got people registered. We have capped it at 50 people because we are needing to keep it intimate and make sure that all of us are creating a sense of connection and nobody's getting lost in the crowd. So I encourage you, if you're interested, sign up, register, be part of what we're creating because it is absolutely amazing. It has been really humbling to just hear how much we're all crying out for this. And I feel like in a lot of ways, it's breaking the isolation of, I think, what all of us are experiencing as women and have, which is, are we allowed to have a voice around things that are big and scary and that we may have been told in the past that our voices don't matter. So I'm so excited for the registration that's coming in and just recognizing that we're going to be up that 50 before we know it. And I'm so grateful for all of you. And I'm so excited to meet you guys in person. Those of you that listen and send in feedback, the fact to get to meet you in person and just share this weekend together is just absolutely, absolutely exciting for me. So please head over to Her Life Unscripted to get more information. You can email me to Anna@herlifeunscripted.com, or of course go to the event page, shineretreatforwomen.com. And also you can email Mari and I to info@shineretreatforwomen.com. And I'll make sure that all those links are in the show notes too. So here we are in February. It is still cold outside, which I realize is a completely relative term living in California. I have a dear friend that lives in Canada, and I was talking with her the other day, and we're Skyping, and so I've got my jacket on and I'm all snuggled up, and she can obviously see me and I can see her, and I'm like, oh, it's so cold. And I realized as the words came in my mouth, oh no, I just told a Canadian that I'm cold, and I have no business being cold because it's literally 55 degrees right now. And she is in much, much colder temperatures, but regardless, it's cold right now. And we are in February, February is always a funny month for me. I don't know if anybody else feels that, but I feel like January is this momentum of the new year and goal setting and planning and just kind of a reset of what we really needed to shift away from that previous year. And then you start hitting March, April, and you're kind of getting into flowers blooming and, the spring coming, and there's this kind of rebirth that's happening. And February kind of gets lost in there. It's this cute little 28, sometimes 29 day month. And I don't know, it's a month that I don't want it to be like a flyover. You think about talk about the Midwest, there's songs about, being a flyover state, which is, it'd be so offensive if I lived in the Midwest when I hear those lyrics. But I feel like February's kind of the same way. It's kind of a flyover month. And so for me, February, I'm trying to be very intentional with not letting the quickness of it just get away from me. I'm really kind of trying to hold off on some projects to be very focused with my family this month. January was really crazy in terms of goal setting and planning and prepping, and I enjoyed every minute of it. But there was also a lot of travel involved. We took a family vacation to Disneyland, which was amazing. It poured rain the entire time we were there, which for any of you that have gone to Disneyland when it's rained, it's amazing. Like there's not a single person there. I can't believe how many rides we rode. And, we had the rain boots and the ponchos and the kids were just troopers and we had a really great trip. So that, and then I got away with some girlfriends, some fellow business owners for a weekend to be able to just work on some projects and have some kid-free time to actually tackle a to-do list. For those of you with kids or honestly without kids, but have lots of distractions, that sometimes just holding up in a beautiful home with a gorgeous view for 2 or 3 days. It's amazing how restorative that could be. And then also my husband was traveling for work. And then I had an actual fun play weekend with some girlfriends from childhood. So that really kind of got me to where I'm at right now, which is the middle of February. So I'm ready to just breathe a little bit. And I'm excited to be here with all of you today. We are continuing on our month of movie inspired podcasts, which has been really, really fun, but it's also been kind of telling of the movies that I've been watching lately, because last week was being the heroine of our own story and really looking at it from, the seed was kind of planted when I watched Moana and I thought, oh my gosh, this movie is so powerful on so many levels. And then SHIT hit the fan with the new person who we are having sit in our presidential chair and the executive orders and the way he's utilizing his power and all those sorts of things. And I was like, holy crap, hot damn. Sorry. I don't know if that's considered explicit, but we need to talk about being the heroine of our own story. And then the next one that I honestly had planned back in November, December, when I was kind of mapping out shows, was a podcast episode that was inspired by the movie Trolls, which again, for those of you that listened last week, hang with me. I promise it's not going to be too crazy. It's not going to be too kid friendly, but watching that movie, there was definitely takeaways that I had that felt very relevant to our collective voice and us as women. So that is where we are going today. For those of you that haven't seen Trolls, it's a fun movie. It's super fun. And the fact that Anna Kendrick and Justin Timberlake are the voices in it is just even more, appeal for me because I just adore the two of them. And there's lots of singing and feel good and bright colors and fun, but there's also this deeper message that is part of the movie. And again, I won't give it away, but it really comes back to this place of the song that is one of the great songs in it, which is Cyndi Lauper's True Colors. Now, for those of you that don't know the song, I will include the lyrics in the show notes. I hope that most of you know this song by the lovely Cyndi Lauper. It was one that I belted out in many slumber parties and childhood memories, back in the 80s, being a young kid. And, Cyndi Lauper was like teen beat, Tiger Beat, she was, poster worthy. And it was also a song that we sang a lot at Girl Scout camp. My mom was our troop leader, and I was very involved in Girl Scouts for many years. And it was a song that we would sing around the campfire. And it was just a song that we sang. And it was always one during kind of a more ceremonial type of when the camp was ending or things like that we would sing. And it was so, so powerful. And so when I heard it in Trolls, I thought, oh my gosh, this is so, so powerful. And really the reason that I feel like it's so relevant to what we're talking about right now is that I know, if we just kind of start with this lyrics and thinking about where we are at in our current social climate is, her lyrics start with, you with the sad eyes, don't be discouraged. Oh, I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you can make you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through, and that's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show. True colors are beautiful. It literally brings tears to my eyes when I read those lyrics, because I believe that right now we are in a place where we do have, especially as women, there are so many sad eyes out there right now, and we can be very, very discouraged. I'm discouraged by what I'm seeing out there, right? Because it feels like there is so much darkness in people's words and actions right now, and we can lose sight of the fact that we can make a difference by being able to see our truth colors shining through, and that they are beautiful, and we don't need to be afraid to let them show that it's actually, when you feel like the world is so crazy and you've taken all you can bear, right? Like Cyndi Lauper says, you can call me up because I'll be there and I'll see your true colors. And that's really what I want us to focus the podcast on today, is this idea of being able to recognize the fact that if this world makes you crazy and you've taken all you can bear, you can call me up because I'll be there. I'll be there. And right now, the world is crazy. And at times it's feeling like I can't bear it. Like I can't go on social media. I can't have another conversation. I can't do it. And then I realized I need to call my people up, right? I need to call my people so that I can have them encourage me and love on me and let them remind me that these true colors, this belief that I have, this power that I hold, I don't need to be afraid of it, right? I don't need to deny it, because those true colors, that power really is powerful and it's really beautiful. And I think that, I know that the messages we get as women about stepping into our power, about stepping into our true colors, can be really, really negative messages. And honestly, they're messages that I have gotten for a long time in my life. I grew up as a middle child of 3 girls. And if you think about the very stereotypical middle child, like, she's probably me, right? Like, she kind of beats to her own drum. She's got opinions that ruffle feathers. She's not afraid to speak her mind, like all those sorts of things. And the messages that I got around that was to be a little bit more quiet. Right? To be a little less bossy, to not be so opinionated. Kind of don't get too big for yourself, that what you're thinking has so much merit. And those are toxic messages. Now, I didn't get those messages from my parents. I think the messages I got from my parents were, let other people have a chance. Right? Which I think is a good message, right? Like, it doesn't always need to be about your opinion. You need to open your mind to other people because they have big opinions too. And that, I'm so grateful for that message. And yet I got messages from teachers and friends and all those sorts of people that I kind of needed to not be so bossy. And I get that. Like, I get that, one of my core values is putting other people first. And that when I take the energy in the room, that I don't allow for other people to share their energy, share their opinions. So I get those pieces, right? But the negative ways that I've heard it has been, you need to not be a leader, right? Which is so crazy to me, because if you think about being a leader, for a man, a leader is a great thing. For a woman, a leader is not such a great thing, right? She's kind of perceived as a B. And I won't say the whole word because I didn't warn you at the beginning that this episode was going to be explicit, but you get what I'm saying, right? And so the problem is that when we get those messages, right, when everything feels so dark, we don't recognize that we have this great lightness within ourselves to be able to own our true colors, own our power, step into that and not be afraid to let them show. Right? And so for me, what has become so present as I've gone through my journey of life is that I can have opinions, I can be a leader, and that can be a beautiful thing. And there's still room for other people, right? Whereas I think the messages I got before were, don't be too much, right? If you're too much to handle, people aren't going to like you, right? Or you're not going to be accepted. And what is more cruel than getting a message that you're not going to be accepted for who you are? And so what I've realized is that I can own my power. I can own my true colors. I can own my unique gifts. I can step out into the world and there's still room for others. And that to me is amazing. I think one thing that has really helped me kind of shift over to recognizing that being a leader or being, owning my power, owning my unique gifts, one of the things that's really helped me is when I think about my own daughter. Right? And for those of you out there without kids, it's thinking about your nieces, your sisters, your cousins, your friends, your goddaughters, your godmothers, right? That what I've realized is that I have a brilliantly curious, opinionated daughter. Like, she's just beautifully me, right? But me in a way that hasn't gotten the messages, at least I hope yet, that she needs to be a little bit less herself in order to fit in. It's amazing the emotion that comes up when I say that, right? But I have to recognize that those messages that I heard from places in my life that I need to be a little bit less me in order to be accepted were really, really hurtful messages. They didn't let my true colors show, right? And so what I'm aware of, and my journey has led me to, is that I need to really recognize the messages that I give her. And when she is curious and she's big and she's full of life, I tell her that I love her curious heart because it's so curious. She wants to know the world and she wants to know it from so many angles. And so it's not, now's not the time. I don't have time for this. It's like, let's sit down. I love your curious heart. I want to learn more about it, right? Help me see what you're seeing. And when she walks into a room and she wants to direct, it's encouraging her to direct and also to hear, right? Like, I want you to share what you feel like is the right thing to do. And I want you to also hear what others are sharing so that you can learn from them because they have cool things to learn from you. So recognizing that, like, the messages that I give her are actually the messages that I need to give myself. And I think that's where I have been more hesitant or more fearful. Actually, if I think about it, it's fearful if I give those messages to myself that I don't need to be afraid to let them show, that risk could come with some cool reward, right? But it could also come with some rejection. And how do I handle that? That part of me that just wants to be accepted, right? And I know that there's so many of you out there that have received similar messages like me. And so I want to know what those messages are. Like, please share them, because knowing that you've gotten messages that are unique to you, but that follow this common thread of being overwhelmed by the crazy in the world and that you can't take it anymore, knowing that you can call somebody up because they'll be there because they want to see your true colors shining through, like, that's a powerful, powerful thing. And so I want to know more about these messages that you've received and also how they've impacted how you show up in the world. And this would be honestly a really cool exercise to journal about, but I also would love for you guys if you were willing to share what you journaled about, and you can, edit it if it feels too vulnerable to share. But if you think about what have the messages been that I have received about my true colors, right? Have I received messages that they are beautiful, don't be afraid to let them show, that it's why you're loved, it's why you're wonderful in this world? Or have they been messages of they need to be a little bit less? Right? Those may be your true colors, but could you not shine so bright, right? Like what messages have you gotten? What messages have you received? And also, how have they impacted how you show up in the world? Right? And when I say show up in the world, what I mean is the way that you move about in the relationships that you have, in the relationships that you maintain, the relationships you nourish, the boundaries that you set, the way you spend your time, the way you share of your opinions, your thoughts, your feelings. Like, that's how you show up in the world, right? If you think about the world being this big stage, like, how are you showing up to play your part in your own movie? And so I am curious about how they have impacted how you show up in the world, because I think it's always important for us to pause and not only to be acutely aware of how we show up in the world, but also the experiences that have impacted us and have led us there. So those are the places that I'm super, super curious about, because obviously I just shared with you guys what my messages that I've received and how they've impacted me in the world, and also how through the relationship with my daughter and her sweet 5-year-old heart. Oh, my baby just turned 5. I'm still dealing with that. But this beautiful heart that she has, and being able to encourage the curiosity of it and the bigness of it and the thoughts she has and the opinions she has, and also being able to help her to learn from others so that they can learn from her. And then also my son, right? That what are the messages that I'm giving to him around not only the importance of who he is, but also as a man, as a male, as a man to be, right? What are the messages that I'm sharing with him about letting all voices be heard and be of importance and be of value? So I know that that's really how it's impacted how I show up in the world. And I want to hear from you guys too, because it is so lovely when I see the same sentiments, the same thread that's connecting us all together. And it just inspires me to do this work. So that is really where I want to leave it. I am going to share in the show notes Cyndi Lauper's beautiful lyrics to True Colors, because I just feel like if you want to print it out and put it up on your wall somewhere, your mirror, your, in your kitchen, in your fridge, like a place for you to see these words about recognizing that when the darkness and the disappointment, the discouragement gets so big that we can see it in our eyes, we do need to reach into that lightness, right? And fight the darkness with the lightness. Fight the darkness with our true colors, with stepping into our power and owning that as a woman, that is a beautiful thing. And I am proud to know you as you step into your true colors, because they are beautiful. And you need to let them show. Please don't be afraid to. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. Please send your audio feedback in via the SpeakPipe app, or always via email to anna@herlifeunscripted.com. And I am so excited about the Shine Retreat that is coming up at the end of September. So please do head over to shineretreatforwomen.com if you want more details. Or of course, you can email Mari and myself to info@shineretreatforwomen.com. And I'll have all those links in the show notes so that you can take a look at them and join us. We would love to have you. So thank you so much for letting me into your hearts and into your world. It's a privilege. It's an honor. And I'm excited to see your true colors. Thank you, ladies. Take care.
Want to learn about the latest retreats, workshops, and speaking events hosted by Anna? Head over to herlifeunscripted.com to get in on all the juicy details. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast so we can continue to grow our amazing audience. Lastly, be sure and send in your voice feedback via the SpeakPipe app or to Anna@herlifeunscripted.com. We can't wait to hear from you.